Passage of Colorado's long-debated construction defects bill is one step closer to reality this week as legislators and business leaders reached a compromise. House Bill 1279 passed 8-0 in a House committee on Wednesday and, if ultimately approved, would require an agreement from the majority of condo owners before any legal action can be filed against builders. Patty, we've been teased by progress on this issue before, and now that it has been worked on so much, do you think the final bill will be able to really make a difference?
It looks like this one is going to reach the finish line. We know that the transportation bill is completely bogged down right now. The hospital provider fee doesn't look like it's going anywhere. But this Wednesday press conference, when everyone is declaring victory after like 11 hours of debate, you would think 420 had started a day earlier and all the fumes were wafting over to the state capitol by just how mellow and happy everyone was and how confident that things were just going to be okay. The compromises are pretty good. I mean, the binding arbitration idea in a different bill was thrown out, but the majority of the homeowners in an HOA, it has to be 50+1, so it's not a super majority. You know, they can't be filibustered. So I think it's a fair compromise. What we will see is if this passes, will developers who've pretty much gotten now what they say they need in order to build condos rather than apartment buildings, let's see if they really do.
David, I know none of us are experts on this particular bill, but from what you've seen of it, is this really going to, you think, drive new construction, or can this impact some of the cranes we're already seeing around town?
I think it will help, but it's not a complete solution in itself. As Patty said, it changes the law so that in a condo association you need a majority of the owners to bring a lawsuit. And that's the most sort of sensible and easy to agree on part of construction defects reform. And as she also pointed out, another important part that the builders say is to have binding arbitration. But of course that raises issue. Well, you're taking away people's access to the courts, and so that's been more controversial. That hasn't passed yet. I don't think this will fix everything, but there's a big problem because it's gone from 20% of construction in Denver residential was for condos a couple decades ago, and it's now down to 3%. And until you change that, we're not going to get out of this affordable housing problem. You say, oh, we can solve affordable housing by having, government-owned public housing, and we can say when somebody does a project, you got to set aside a certain number of units for affordable housing. That's like saying we're going to solve poverty by having a lottery. It's great for the people who are the lucky winners of that very small number of lucky winners, but it's not a broad solution that everybody can access.
Eric, does anybody get to claim a big political win if this does finally cross the finish line?
Well, I'll be quick on this one, Dominic. Just a couple points. Yes, I think the Speaker and the President of the Senate do get to claim a win because they're new in their offices this year and they were able to forge a compromise that has eluded others. But two other quick points. One, the reason this issue has been so intractable and so long with us is not about policy. It's not that somebody just came up with this idea. It's all about politics and the politics of the trial law industry, etc. Secondly, what really will be the test here is not where the bill passes, or that's one test, but it's how the insurance marketplace reacts. The reason condos are not being built has less to do with the development community and more to do with the fact that the insurance industry will not provide policies. So the insurance industry will get the last say on this in terms of whether this bill is sufficient to address their concerns so that condo projects can proceed.
Yeah.
Halisi, how happy should city leaders be about these developments?
I don't think that they should think that this is a panacea. I spoke to some developers when I was running for office a few years ago, and those developers told me that this was not the reason that condos were not being built. And that this one particular developer said she was still building condominiums. I think, I get a little hesitant about this because, as you said, it's the insurance company. So I'd like to know, are the insurance lobbyists actually for this or against this? And that I don't know. But anytime you take away the right of folks to protect themselves, and I know this doesn't totally do that, I get a little squeamish. I do know that we need more housing. I do know that we need more condominium condominiums being built, but I'm not sure that this is the answer. And then the idea of what affordable housing is at $250,000 is that's not affordable for most Denverites.